Hi, my name is Jeffrey Levinson and I am the Account Manager Lead here at Malili. Today we're going to talk about using the Blackout Markup Review pane while you're placing Excel manual markups. Now there are a few things that you need to know before we begin. First is that all of the options for redacting charts, comments, headers and footers, objects, and sheet names are going to be located in the Blackout Markup Review pane. Additionally, the Markup Review pane will remember the state that the user was on and will automatically display if the user had the card open on a previous document. So, for example, if a user is redacting comments and navigates to the next document, the Blackout Markup Review pane will still be open to the Comments menu. Next, when you are using the Blackout Markup Review pane to redact charts and objects, it's important to remember that only the black markup type will be available. Lastly, to reduce the amount of reloading, the markups within the Blackout Markup Review pane won't appear on the document right away. If there is a need to see these items immediately, a refresh of the viewer is required. Now that we've covered what you need to know, let's jump into my instance of relativity and see what this looks like. Now remember, for each of these options, we are going to navigate to the lower left of the viewer, open up our Blackout Markup Review pane using this Blackout B icon here, and then open up our submenu right here. Now in this menu, you will find your options for charts, comments, headers and footers, objects, and sheet names. Now we will start with charts, but we'll take a look at each of these briefly just so you can see what these look like. Now for charts, once this loads our charts, you can see that we actually have two different charts available on our document. Now in this example, that's on purpose. That is because there are actually two different ways to redact charts. The first is going to be able to redact a chart in full with a black box redaction, and the other way is to redact static labels, such as data labels or chart titles. I'll show you an example of each of these. First, it's going to be this chart right up here. We're going to redact that chart in full. To do that, I'll click my Redact button. We see that's redacting and processing, and after it completes, our chart will be fully redacted. Now remember that these redactions will not show immediately, so if you need to see these, a refresh will be required. After refreshing, our markups will load, and we can see that our chart has been redacted in full. Now the other way that we can redact a chart, again, is to redact those static labels. Now for our other chart, we can see our chart right down here in the bottom left. To redact those static labels, I can click the chart name. So in this case, that is chart 2. And we can see the different items that are available to redact. In this case, let's say I need to redact just the title of the chart. I can see the original text of the title, and after I redact, I'll also be able to see my redacted text. Now to place the actual redaction, I'll click the Redact button, where a text box opens here where I can use my keyboard and mouse to delete our text and type our new redaction text. After doing that, I can click Save. That will save our redaction. We can see the redaction text has populated. Now again, this will not appear immediately, but we can refresh so you can see what this looks like in our example today. We will let our markups load here. After the markups have loaded, we can see that the title of our chart has been redacted. The next thing that we will take a look at is comments. Now for comments, we will navigate in our menu here. Once our comments load, we can see that this is also organized into easy to navigate, easy to read columns. We can see we have different comments on different sheets. We can see the cell that the comments are located in. We have our original comment text, and if we make a redaction, the redacted comment text will appear in the column here as well. Now, to make a comment redaction, all I need to do is click our Redact button. Once I do that, the full comment text will open up where I can redact the data that I need to redact. Let's say I need to redact Jacob's name. I can use my mouse and keyboard again to go ahead and make my changes, and then I can click Save. From here we can see the redaction was applied. We have our redacted comment text populated as well. Now, something else to keep in mind is that if we were to refresh, the comment text redaction will also appear in the hidden items comment viewer as well. So if I open up my hidden content here, we can see that the redaction has been placed in the viewer as well. The next thing we will take a look at is our headers and footers. Again, to open that up, we'll open up our menu and click Headers and Footers. You can see that we have a similar organization style here where everything is organized into columns. Now, before I actually show you how to place the redaction, the one thing that you need to know for headers and footers is that this is something that you will not be able to see within the relativity viewer itself. If you wanted to see these redactions after they are applied, you would need to use the Download Marked Up File button here, where you can download the natively redacted file, open that up in Excel, and take a look at the headers and viewers there. There is unfortunately not a way to see headers and footers within the relativity viewer. Now, to place our redaction, we will find the header or footer that needs to be redacted and simply click our Redact button. From here, we will replace our text and click Save. That will be applied, and we can see the redacted text has now populated as well. The next thing we'll look at is object redactions. I'll move over to my Many Objects sheet, where we can see a whole bunch of different things. There's a text box, we have pictures, arrows, there's even a PowerPoint right down here that is embedded within this Excel file. And while we can't see it in the relativity viewer, Blackout knows that it exists, and we could actually redact this data right from here. Just as a reminder, as I redact these objects, only the black box markup style is available. So to redact these, I will click my Redact button. We can see that these redactions will start processing. Once they're done, we will show you an Unredact button so you can easily unredact any of these objects as well. Like before, these redactions will not appear automatically in the viewer. In my case though, I'm going to go ahead and refresh so we can see what these redactions look like, just as an example. We will let our markups load, and after our markups have loaded, I'll go into our objects sheet here, and we can see that the different objects, including that PowerPoint, have been fully redacted with our black box redaction. The last thing that we'll cover today is sheet name redaction. So again, I'll open up our menu and choose sheet names this time, and we can see, as with our other menus, this is organized into easy to read columns. We have our original sheet name as well as the redacted sheet name text once we place our redaction. Now, there are a few things that you need to know before we place any sheet name redactions. First is that the sheet name may not exceed 31 characters. It may also not have any special characters. The sheet name may not be the word history. And lastly is that Blackout will actually prepend any sheet name redactions that have the same text. We'll see an example of this in just a moment. So to make a sheet name redaction, after we navigate to our menu, we're going to click our Redact button, and you'll see a familiar menu here where we can change our text. So I will go ahead and enter in my redaction text, and I will click Redact Sheet Name. We can see that the sheet name has been redacted. Now let's say I want to redact the many objects sheet here with the same redaction text. I can do this, but again, the sheet name is going to be prepended with a number to make sure it is a unique name. So I can click redact again. We will delete our text and enter in the same redaction text. We will click redact sheet name, and we can see no errors appeared. However, if we refresh, we can see that we have our first redaction here as redacted, but the non-unique name was prepended with a number. This was an overview of how to use the Blackout markup review pane with Excel manual markups. If you have any questions at all, feel free to navigate to support.malili.com or email us at support@malili.com.